Hey everyone, it's Tony from Retirees Benefits here. And if you've been waiting for news about stimulus payments, I need you to stop what you're doing and listen to this. October 3rd just brought us a major announcement that's going to affect millions of Americans. And some of you might not even know it yet. I spent the last 3 hours reading through government documents, policy reports, and congressional briefings so you don't have to. And what I found, well, it's complicated. There's some really good news for certain groups, but there's also some changes that might catch you off guard. If you're a mom trying to make ends meet, a veteran struggling with benefits, someone dealing with a disability, or you're currently unemployed, this video is especially for you. Stick around because I'm going to break down exactly what this means for your family's finances. Alright, let's talk about what actually happened. On October 3rd, the Treasury Department, in coordination with the IRS, released what they're calling a Payment Distribution Framework Update. Now that sounds boring, but what it really means is they're changing how and when certain Americans will receive financial assistance. The goal here isn't another broad stimulus check like we saw during the pandemic. Instead, this is what officials are calling, quote, targeted economic relief for specific groups who have been hit hardest by ongoing inflation and economic challenges. According to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's statement, and I quote, "We are implementing a more surgical approach to economic assistance, focusing resources where they can have the most immediate impact on families who need it most." What does that actually mean in plain English? It means they're not sending $1,220 to everyone. Instead, they're sending larger amounts to smaller groups of people who are facing specific hardships. Some families could see payments of $2,000 to $3,000, while others might not see anything at all. I know that might sound unfair, but let me explain who's actually getting help and why this might be better news than you think. Here's where it gets really important to pay attention, because the eligibility criteria are very specific. First up, parents and caregivers. If you're raising children and your household income is below 200% of the federal poverty line, that's about $55,000 for a family of 4, you're likely eligible for what they're calling the Family Stability Payment. This could be up to $2,500 per family, not per child. Veterans, this is big for you. If you're receiving VA disability benefits, or if you've struggled to access VA services in the past year, there's a separate veteran support payment that could reach $3,000. The Department of Veterans Affairs has been working with Treasury to identify eligible recipients automatically. For our disabled community members, if you're receiving SSDI, SSI, or other disability benefits, and your monthly payment is below $1,500, you're looking at potential payments between $1,800 and $2,200. They're calling this the Disability Security Supplement. And here's something that really matters. If you've been unemployed for more than 6 months in the past year, or if you're working part-time but struggling to find full-time work, there's an employment transition payment that could be up to $2,000. The key thing to understand is that these aren't mutually exclusive. If you fall into multiple categories, let's say you're a disabled veteran with children, you might qualify for more than one type of payment. Now here's where things get tricky, and I want to be completely honest with you about what's changing from how things worked before. Unlike previous stimulus payments that went to almost everyone, these new payments require what they're calling verification of need. That means you might need to provide documentation or update your information with relevant agencies. The IRS isn't handling all of this alone anymore. Depending on which payment you're eligible for, you might be working with the Social Security Administration, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or your state's unemployment office. Here's a direct quote from the IRS announcement. Recipients will need to confirm their current circumstances through existing agency portals or by responding to verification requests sent via mail or secure electronic communication. What does that mean for you? It means you need to make sure your information is up to date with whatever agency handles your benefits. If you get SNAP benefits, make sure your state knows your current address. If you're a veteran, log into your VA account and verify your contact information. If you get Social Security, check your My Social Security account online. The payment timeline is also different. Instead of everyone getting payments at once, they're rolling these out over 3 months, starting in mid-October and continuing through December. The goal is to reduce system overload and make sure payments actually reach the right people. Okay, I know some of this sounds complicated, But there's actually some really good news here that I think you'll appreciate. First, these payments are larger than what many people received in previous rounds. If you qualify, you're looking at substantially more money, potentially double or triple what some families got before. Second, and this is huge, these payments are designed to be recurring. The October 3rd announcement specifically mentions that this is phase 1 of what could be ongoing quarterly support for eligible families. That means if you qualify now, you might continue to receive help every 3 months. Third, the verification process, while it sounds scary, is actually designed to be simpler than applying for new benefits. For most people, it's going to be as simple as logging into an existing account and clicking confirm on your information. Here's another piece of good news specifically for parents. The Family Stability Payment includes additional support for childcare expenses. If you can document childcare costs, you might qualify for an extra $500 per child under 12. And for veterans, the Veteran Support Payment isn't just a one-time thing. It's designed to bridge gaps in VA services. Which means if you've been waiting for healthcare, mental health services, or other VA benefits, this payment is meant to help you access private services while you wait. Let me give you the exact timeline so you know what to expect and when. October 15th through October 31st, verification requests will be sent out. Check your mail, check your email, and check the portals for any agencies you work with. November 1st through November 15th, first wave of payments begins. This will primarily be Social Security recipients, veterans, and families already in the SNAP or TANF systems. November 16th through November 30th. Second wave focuses on unemployment recipients and people who needed to provide additional verification. December 1st through December 15th, final wave includes anyone who completed verification late or needed manual review. Here's what you need to do right now today. Update your direct deposit information with any agency you receive benefits from. This is crucial. Payments will be delayed significantly if your banking information is wrong. If you don't currently receive any federal benefits, but think you might qualify based on your income and family situation, call 211. They can help you figure out what you might be eligible for and how to get the verification process started. Keep documentation handy. Have recent pay stubs, your most recent tax return, proof of any childcare expenses, and documentation of any disability or veteran status easily accessible. Set up accounts with relevant agencies if you haven't already. This means creating a My Social Security account, a va.gov account if you're a veteran, or an account with your state's benefit system. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds too good to be true, or what's the catch? Let me address some concerns I'm already seeing in the comments from my previous videos. What if I don't qualify for any of these categories? Look, I get it. If you're working full-time but still struggling, if you make just slightly too much to qualify, this feels unfair. The reality is that this approach is designed to help people in crisis situations first. But remember, this is phase 1. There are indications that future phases might expand eligibility. What if I made a mistake on my verification? The good news is there's an appeals process. Unlike some previous programs where mistakes meant you were just out of luck, they've built in ways to correct errors and resubmit information. Is this going to affect my taxes? These payments are structured the same way previous stimulus payments were. They are not taxable income and they won't affect your refund or what you owe. What about people who don't have bank accounts? They haven't forgotten about you. Paper checks and prepaid debit cards will be available just like before. The timeline might be a little longer, but you won't be left out. Here's something important. If you're worried about immigration status affecting your eligibility, these payments follow the same rules as previous stimulus payments. If you have a Social Security number and filed taxes, immigration status shouldn't prevent you from receiving payments you're eligible for. Look, I know this is a lot of information, and I know some of you might be feeling overwhelmed or disappointed if you don't think you qualify. But here's what I want you to remember. This represents a shift toward actually targeting help where it's needed most. Instead of sending small amounts to everyone, including people who might not desperately need it, this approach puts larger amounts of money in the hands of families who are really struggling. And the fact that it's designed to be ongoing support, not just a one-time payment, is actually a big step forward. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be creating specific videos for each category. One just for parents, one for veterans, one for people with disabilities, and one for people dealing with unemployment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss the detailed guide that applies to your situation. If this video helped you understand what's happening, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help other people find this information when they need it. And share it with anyone you know who might qualify for these payments. Your mom, your neighbor, that friend who's been struggling. Information is power, and the more people who know about this, the better. Drop a comment below and let me know which category you think you might qualify for, or if you have questions about the verification process. I read every comment, and your questions help me make better videos for everyone. Remember, you're not alone in this. We're all trying to figure out how to make things work, and sometimes help comes in unexpected ways. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to check out that link to BetterHelp in the description if you're